kept me from destroying Earthrealm.
My sacrifice saved the Matoka.
Nothing will save them now.
Fight!
Fatality. Sindel wins.
You ain't nobody. You ain't nobody. Back the fuck up on my face. Now. Because I'm not playing with you.
Play in my face, faggot.
Huh? Don't fucking play with me. Don't fucking do it.
Put your hands on me,
Don't
faggot.
fucking do it. Huh? Call me fucking faggot. What's up?
Huh?
What's up? What's up? Because I'm motherfucking done with you. Call me a faggot one more fucking time. And I'm gonna fucking pop your ass. What's up? What's up, motherfucker? What's up?
Whoa. Damn, bro.
Hey, Jordan, that's enough.
What's up, bitch?
No, that-
Let me get.
Hey, what is up guys? MKBHD here, coming at you from a hotel room in California with a quick and scrappy video, but I promised that I would share this with you guys when I got hands-on, when I got to see it, and I finally got to see it. Motorola finally had their pretty low-key event tonight, and I just show anyone who thinks that smartphones are getting boring, just show them this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize right off the top for the absolute worst lighting conditions I have ever seen in a hands-on area. Motorola, why did you do it like this? Please never do it like this again. But nevertheless, I got some angles for you of the new Razr and my initial impressions, and I'm just fascinated by this thing. So I've never owned actually the original Razr, but all my friends did, and this new folding phone version is pretty much the same size as that flip phone from back in the day, one of the best-selling phones of all time. So it fits in the hand the same way, it's still super thin like the original, it's got the chin like the original, but it's basically a modernized 2020 version. Now, I've been talking over the past few months about all these different various ways to do a folding phone. This is going to be the favorite for a lot of people, and it's of course a vertical folding screen. So this is a 6.2-inch 2020 version. Now, I've been talking over the past few months about all these different various ways to do a folding phone. This is going to be the favorite for a lot of people, and it's of course a vertical folding screen. So this is a 6.2-inch 2142 by 876 OLED display on the inside. They call it a flex view display. And on the outside, similar to the Galaxy Fold, you have a smaller display, a 2.7-inch 800 by 600 G OLED panel. That's going to be called a quick view display. And so of course, when you fold it down, the phone is literally half the size, just the way the original was. It really is something special. So I naturally had, like you might have, some questions about it. I only got to spend about an hour with it in the terribly lit hands-on area, so gonna have to get my paws back on it again to do a full review and really get into the phone. But the first major question is, like, how well is it built? Is it really built well? Like, we've seen folding phones break, so what is Motorola doing to prevent that? Well, from my time, there's good news and bad news. The good news is this hinge design feels really good, really solid to me. It has a weight and a springiness to it and it felt premium and satisfying to open and close. I mean, everyone knows the feeling of closing this phone, like snapping it shut after a phone call is going to be super important. And of course, I couldn't quite capture it in this opposite of a well-lit room, but it's got a nice, it slaps, is what I'm trying to say. It slaps. It's pretty nice. The actual hinge mechanism is, again, different from the other folding phones that we were seeing, and it seems to work really well, to the point where if you lay it flat, there doesn't seem to be much of a crease in the screen at all, as far as I can tell. So that was impressive. But the bit of bad news is I still think it's going to be a bit delicate. There's still gaps on the sides, and it still does look like a pretty complex hinge, so it sort of interrupts the otherwise pretty clean, angular throwback design. Also, when you start to fold the phone shut, you can see the bottom of the phone sort of start to tuck into the chin just a little bit, like you see that down there. You might not notice it at first. Sam Sheffer had to point it out to me, but it's worth showing. Definitely going to have to get this phone in the hand, though, for longer than an hour to see what the durability is like. But speaking of the chin, what's in there? Because that's a pretty big chin on this new Razr, and that's because many of the important components live down here too. So at the top of it, you can see that's where your fingerprint reader is, so if you still want to do fingerprint unlock, you can do that. And then at the bottom is, of course, also your USB Type-C port. No headphone jack, but there's your speaker grill, so it's all downward-facing speakers here. And then up at the top, you do have a bit of a notch for your earpiece and other front-facing sensors, but no camera up here. And that's pretty much it as far as design. The rest of it is basically a spitting image of that nostalgic Razr. Everything about the shape, just the way it sits in your hand, really, and the way it opens and closes. Yeah, it's really cool. There's also some Android tricks here to make it work, and Motorola has built in things the way they usually do with their Moto actions. So if you remember the double twist to open the camera, that's still here. Things like that. Oh, and speaking of the camera, that's the only camera. Just this one camera here under the bump, that's your main camera and your selfie camera, because when you open the phone, it becomes the rear-facing camera, and then when you fold it shut, now it's your main selfie camera. So you'll have high quality selfies with that main sensor. That's another advantage of this folding design. And the aspect ratio, just to note, it is 21:9 when it's open. It seems pretty tall and skinny, but it's really not too crazy for a phone. I mean, ask Sony. It fits a video full screen and doesn't cut off too much if you're into that. Apps will work regularly without having to be adapted instead of looking funky in some square aspect ratio is looking good here. And one of the main things I really want to test more is the continuity between open and closed. I need to figure out how well that works. And also just what sorts of things you can do on that outside display. Right now they're showing things like the time, notifications, and then you can answer texts and call up Google Assistant and do some pretty simple stuff like that, which makes sense on the quick view display. But that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid-range, I would say, so not totally all-out flagship, but you got a Snapdragon 710 here, 6 gigabytes of RAM, like the time, your notifications, and then you can answer texts and call up Google Assistant and do some pretty simple stuff like that, which makes sense on the quick view display. But that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid. But that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid. Like the time, your notifications, and then you can answer texts and call up Google Assistant and do some pretty simple stuff like that, which makes sense on the quick view display. But that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid range, I would say, so not totally all out flagship. And the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid range, I would say, so not of RAM and 128 gigs of storage built in. It's also supposed to be splash proof according to Motorola, but there is no official IP rating, so I wouldn't go around crazy submerging it or anything like that. And the camera spec is 16 megapixels at f1.7 with no optical image stabilization. And then the official battery size is 2,510 milliamp hours. So definitely on the small side for a phone with, let's be honest, a pretty big 6.2 inch display. But that's part of the price you pay to get a phone as crazy thin as this Razr is. And then this whole thing, this whole package is going to retail for $14.99. Yes, $1,500, and it'll be available in January 2020. So here's the thing. I want one. I'm going to want one of these, but not in like a smart, like this is going to be a good phone objectively type of way. It's definitely much more of a throwback, nostalgic way, and people who are younger than me won't even really understand that nostalgia. And also, a 6.2 inch display. I kind of already have that, and it already fits in my pocket, so part of me was sort of hoping for an even bigger display to make the whole folding thing more worth it. But the fact that I could fit a 6.2 inch display in my pocket in a wafer size thing the size of the Razr is still pretty sweet. I don't know, for me this is not the type of thing where I'm gonna nitpick a lot. You've noticed this with the way I've talked about other first generation folding phones. Like, I wish this one had a high refresh rate display. I wish it had a Snapdragon 855. I wish it had a headphone jack. I wish it had faster fast charging than the 15 watts that it supported. I wish it had a bigger battery. All these things that I wish it had that would have made it even better, but I'm not going to nitpick because it's just that next level form factor change that I'll nitpick the next versions of this phone. How about that? Like, it's clearly not going to be the best buy for most people, but if you could give me one piece of tech from 2019 to bring back to show someone in 2003, I think it would have to be this guy. But anyway, that's pretty much it for my first thoughts and impressions and hands-on with the thing. Sorry again for the extremely scrappy quality, the handheld mic, all this stuff in a hotel room. But now that you've seen it, what do you think of the whole Razr folding phone concept? Is this actually the best version of a folding phone, or would you have liked to see a bigger screen like me? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm sure we'll be chatting away. Either way, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
So with the Motorola Razr, what we're getting is a phone which is running Android, but it is a much more modern take on the standard Razr. So, to talk to the Android expert himself, hi, don't you love these video conditions? Anyway, that was a word from Marques Brownlee, noted YouTube celebrity and huge fan of the Motorola Razr, specifically this event.
Have to be this guy. But anyway. Bring back to show someone in 2003, I think it would have to be that. Optical image stabilization. And the specs, for anyone interested, are that, which makes sense on the quick view display, but that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid. Some pretty simple stuff like that, which makes sense on the quick view display, but that looks to be about it. And then the specs, for anyone interested, are upper mid-range, I would say. So not totally all-out flagship,
Rice plant, this is for you. Read till the end. It's adorable. Post box, I sent an angel to watch over you last night, but it came back and I asked, why? The angel said, angels don't watch over angels. 20 angels are in your world. 10 of them are sleeping, 9 of them are playing, and 1 is reading this message. God has seen you struggling with some things and God says it's over. A blessing is coming your way. Tulip, if you believe in God, send this to 14 friends including me. If I don't get it back, I guess I'm not one of them. As soon as you get 5 replies, someone you love will quietly surprise you. Not joking. Maple Leaf, pass this message on. Please don't ignore it. You are being tested and God is going to fix 2 big things tonight in your favor. If you believe in God, drop everything and pass it on. Tomorrow will be the best day of your life. Don't break this. Send this to 14 friends in 10 minutes. It's not that hard. Whoever sent this to you must care about you. You are an angel. Strawberry smile with a halo. Strawberry.
$2, $2. Now we're
The things you do. Alone tonight, alone tonight, alone tonight.